Do you know the song? He's got the whole world in his hands. 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 He's got everybody here in his hands. He's got everybody here in his hands. He's got everybody here in his hands. He's got the whole world in his hands. Now you know why they hired me for children and youth. That is basically what the book of Hebrews explains in 13 chapters. Now granted, the book of Hebrews gets into many important theological points about how Jesus has the whole world in his hands. But if we were making a bumper sticker for the theme of the book of Hebrews, I'm voting for he's got the whole world in his hands. In the Jewish system of sacrifices, the priests offered sacrifice all day long for people's offenses towards each other and or God. If you took the requirements literally, a person could end up offering their whole herd or a whole flock of birds if they offered a sacrifice each time that the law required it. Any one animal sacrificed covered a sin, but that was temporary. The next time, you had to offer another animal. The animal is dying instead of the sinner. If you imagine our church as a metaphor for the temple, there are rules on where people could be. So let's use our church as a metaphor. Pretend right here there's an altar, and only the priests can come here, and they offer sacrifices all day. And then back there, beyond the rail, that would be the Holy of Holies, and there would be a curtain, and only the high priest could enter there. And it was considered to be where God resided. So the high priest went into the Holy of Holies only once a year. After certain preparations, after offering a sacrifice for his sins and those of the people, after the ritual in the Holy of Holies, the high priest would put all of the community's sins onto the goat and send the scapegoat out of the community into the desert, symbolizing all of the sins going away. Hebrews tells us that Jesus becomes all of those things. The sacrifice, the scapegoat released out into the city, and the high priest offering the sacrifice for the people. Jesus is everything. Jesus is all in all. We no longer need to offer continuous sacrifices because Jesus fulfilled the law through the love it was meant to foster and offered sacrifice that no one else could offer or fulfill. We no longer have to work out our own salvation, and we couldn't anyways through the never-ending sacrifices required. We read that in the prophets, in Hebrews, and in Romans. The law and the sacrifices were a babysitter until we could grow into perfect, obedient people, into the full stature of the Christ, which never happened and never will, because we don't believe obedience is for us. We are saved by Christ's obedience, by Christ's faith, because for us, obedience is near impossible. Have you seen those memes that are like, I tried to do what I was supposed to do, but I got distracted? Or there were so many other options. That's how we are, even the best of us. What does Hebrews say is the remedy to our disobedience? An abundance of ways that we not only don't shine the light in our own lives, but contribute to the darkness of others. This part of Hebrews says, let us hold fast to the confession of our hope without wavering. Our hope that we confess is in Jesus. It's not of this world. It's not of our own strength or even our own understanding. It is in a God who had all the power and emptied himself of power to live among us as a poor person among us, who has experienced everything that we have experienced and yet was obedient even to death and in death. It continues, for he who has promised is faithful. God fulfills God's promises. We can see God's faithfulness throughout the Bible, through our own lives likely, and in the lives of others. The verse continues, "Let us consider how to provoke one another to love and good deeds." I don't know about you, but I see a lot of people provoking other people, but not to love. How can we provoke each other to love? You know the command to turn the other cheek? When you are provoked to lash out or to set somebody straight, consider how you can shine the light of Christ into the situation instead. How can we call to each other's better natures and work together to say and do works that glorify God, that others can see and hear the heart of Jesus and praise God in heaven? It continues, not neglecting to meet together. So let it not be said that the Bible doesn't say to go to church. We meet together because we experience God in this place, in this liturgy, in this group of people. I have heard an older priest say that when we worship God by ourselves in nature or wherever, God starts to look a lot like me. Likes people and things that I like and despises those that I do not like. One of our teens said, "The Eucharist is my favorite part of coming to church. We shake hands and say peace, and people really mean it. They care about each other. And then we all go to the rail and kneel where we're all equal there. You don't see that anyplace else, really." So how can we carry that out of this place into the world? The verse goes on, as is the habit of some. So apparently we're not unique in some people thinking they don't need to gather as a corporate body. But Hebrews exhorts us that this is how we encourage one another and learn to provoke each other to love and good deeds. And then it ends with encourage one another. I wonder if I can challenge you to encourage one person each day, at least one person. Say something or do something that lifts them up and encourages them. I watched a baseball documentary a few weeks ago about a player on the Phillies. He was paid millions of dollars, but kept striking out and bumbling plays. And then one fan suggested on social media that everyone start giving the guy a standing ovation when he came up to bat. And it worked. He started hitting and then was hitting home runs, and the whole team went on a hitting streak for the whole month. Encourage one another. Imagine if we were all in on encouraging one another and provoking one another to love and good works. Oh, what a world it would be. Hebrews 13 says, "Through Christ, let us continually offer God the sacrifice of praise. This is the fruit of lips that acknowledge God's name. But do not neglect to do good and to share what you have, for such sacrifices are pleasing to God." Have confidence in Jesus. He has the whole world in his hands and is the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow.